Right now, talks are underway in an effort to stop Iran's nuclear program. There is some evidence of a possible deal that would cap some of Iran's suspected nuclear programs in exchange for limited relief from economic sanctions. Already, Israel has condemned the outlines of this temporary deal, saying it doesn't go nearly far enough to keep Israel safe. All this as the New York Times quotes an expert who suggests that Iran could produce a crude nuclear explosive in 2 or 3 months. And as reports surface suggesting the White House may have already been softening some of those sanctions against Iran for months now. So let's bring in Rick Grinnell, former spokesman to 4 UN ambassadors and a Fox News contributor, and Joe Cirincione, the president of Ploughshares Fund and the author of the new book, Nuclear Nightmares, Securing the World Before It's Too Late. Thank you both for joining us.
Sure.
So the New York Times yesterday quoted a former official with the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, saying that Iran could produce a nuclear explosive in 2 to 3 months. It would be a crude device, and Iran does not have the means to deliver it on a ballistic missile yet. But still, Joe, how concerned does the world need to be?
Well, you have to worry about this particular nuclear nightmare. You want to stop Iran's program. And the deal that's under discussion in Geneva looks like a good deal that will do exactly that. It will freeze key parts of Iran's program. It will put time on the clock, making it longer, harder for Iran to build a bomb. And in exchange, we'll release a few Iranian assets, maybe loosen a few minor sanctions. This is what's got people so excited. A deal that we've been trying to get for years, that the Bush administration couldn't get, that we couldn't get until now, is within reach. That's why you see foreign ministers from all over the world flying into Geneva right now. Most of the major powers support this deal. It's good for us, good for the region, good for Israel.
All right, Rick. As Joe's mentioning, these talks going on right now between Iran and the P5+1, that's the U.S., Britain, France, Russia, China, and Germany. Diplomats say that the U.S. and others in the West prepared to soften some sanctions in exchange for Iran suspending its nuclear activities for possibly 6 months or so. But now we have this report on the Daily Beast today that says the U.S. actually started doing this months ago. In fact, back in June, when the new president, Hassan Rouhani, was elected. And they say it was done very quietly. So, Rick, what's your reaction to that?
Well, look, it's people like Joe and other liberals who are really ignoring the UN Security Council, because the UN 6 times has said very clearly, and by the way, Joe, Russia was included in that 6 times Security Council passage, that Iran must stop enriching all uranium. That's what it says 6 times. So what we have now are Obama and Wendy Sherman, who is our lead negotiator, and others who are really eager to undermine the UN and try to negotiate a new deal. They're happily rushing to pretend like we have some sort of deal. Iran hasn't done a thing yet, and the Obama administration has already taken the pressure off by relieving some banking sanctions. Look, the simple fact is, if you want Iran to abide by the 6 UN Security Council resolutions that have already been demanded of it, then you just need to have action from Iran before you have hope that they're actually going to do something.
So let's ask Joe, should we be negotiating at all? The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the U.S. is handing Iran, quote, the deal of the century. So should we, can we really trust this regime at all?
Sure. The first thing is, what are the alternatives? There's no military way to stop Iran without an invasion of several 100,000 soldiers physically occupying Iran. Nobody wants to do that. We've had a sanction regime on Iran, but sanctions alone are not going to end the program. The only way is to convince Iran's leaders that it's not in their interest, and that's what's happening. We have brought them to the table. Their economy is collapsing. They need to get out of the sanctions, and the only way they can do that is to give up their nuclear program. I think Rick's point is a very good one. We do want Iran to stop, to do much more than this. The deal we're talking about is just a first step. It's an interim confidence-building measure. They do a little, we do a little, but everything after that is a step-by-step process. We probably won't get a complete deal for 6 or 7 months.
Music's
Every step of the way,
if they cheat,
we can put the pressure back on.
Joe Cirincione, Rick Grinnell.